Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game, and today a top 10 list of the top 10 Borg captains. Uh, with me, I have Jerry, and Jerry, thank you for joining me.
Always.
And Borg captains, I think when I was doing my list, I counted about 20 different options. So this is kind of the upper crust, the upper half here, and uh, I will say better options than I thought when I initially said, "Hey, let's do board captains." Like number 10 was actually a debate between a few captains for me.
Uh, yeah, there's definitely more than 10 good captains.
Yeah, which is nice. It did not used to be that way. It used to be that there were about two good board captains, and it has changed, which should tell you probably that the board captains that are going to be on this list are newer rather than older, but not entirely. I think there's a good mix of new and old here. So, Jerry, would you like to kick things off here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So for my number 10, I have got a tactical drone.
Oh,
This is, I don't remember exactly which pack this came from.
I I don't remember my tactical drones. I remember one of them.
Yeah. Um, this one, he is the place two drone tokens on him. So he's only captain skill of two. But it's during the activation phase. Before you move, you can spend a drone token to remove an aux power token.
Mm.
So to me, this drone token, he's from Scout 255.
Ah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a big push in this game today of aux powers, and we kind of all know that from Ferengi photon torpedoes. Um, Verteron pulse traps another one that people kind of get sucked into. Even the Hirogen tractor beam, or the tractor beam that came from the Hirogen Hunter
Oh,
card
yeah,
pack.
changing maneuver colors.
Yep.
Yep.
So there is something to say to have kind of this little security of a cheap captain that can get rid of that Ox Power token if you have one.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why he's number 10 on my list. Again, there were a lot of captains that could be in this spot that aren't here for me. But if we're talking about building and kind of situational things, you throw this captain on like the new Queen Vessel Prime card pack, where that ship regenerates those drone tokens for you. You all of a sudden have a captain that you can even stack those drone tokens. So if you're not using it, you can stack even more drone tokens on there. So you've got some kind of security to kind of protect yourself against those locked powers.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned this captain because while the tactical drone, this version of a tactical drone, did not make my top 10 list, it was one of the ones under consideration. Uh, Things that hurt it for me were two skill for 2 points and or two drone tokens for 2 points. And I kind of go, I want more drone tokens than the points I'm paying. Queen Vessel Prime has changed the rules, but it is only one ship.
Yep.
So I do have to be wary of that when I'm making my list. But I do like this tactical drone. I find it intriguing, and I like what you're saying. I like I said, there were more than 10 good captains, and
Yep.
we're going to have probably a few that look a little off. And But yeah, I'm this is one that's risen in the rankings because of more ways to get drone tokens back. So
Yes.
I get it. My number 10, I call this Borg Queen upgrade copy. Uh, but it is 7 drone tokens for 5 points, and then action target a friendly ship, choose an upgrade on that ship, perform the upgrade's action as a free action, and if it requires drone token, spend one less drone token than required. So there's lots of little cheeky combos you can do to do an upgrade twice. It's got to have an action on it, but there's still some fun that can be had, even if it doesn't require a drone token. This
Yep.
Borg Queen's still targeting friendly upgrades, and to me that there's just a lot of fun that can be had with, oh, I get to use my upgrade a second time on a second different ship. Like, just it's kind of the same reason that cards like Odo and Vendorian Spy are fun. You're
Oh yeah.
duplicating your own stuff.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
And this doesn't limit you to certain types of upgrades. So you want to take a weapon action for the very minute cards that have that, or a tech action, crew action, elite talent action. Those are all possible actions you can do. I think talents might be the most intriguing to me because there are some that are pretty good, that are very expensive, and to be able to use it twice, as long as they don't require being discarded, is actually a really, really useful ability.
I would tend to agree with you there. She doesn't, and everything out on the table, she did not make my list. But again, as you said, she is one of those ones that it was in consideration.
Yeah,
Um,
and you do only get one Borg Queen, so that's another drawback. It's I do have a Borg Queen that's higher on my list. So are you going to run her, or are you going to run a different Borg Queen?
yeah, good
And
question.
there's times you might want that, but there's probably times you want another one.
Yes, yes. Okay. Um, for number 9, I've got another tactical drone making an appearance here.
Okay.
So he is from the Sphere
Sphere
42.
4270.
Yes.
I know that one. That's the one I knew.
So he is 4 drone tokens for 3 points. Spend 1 drone token to choose any number of your attack dice and reroll them once.
Yep.
Um, again, before Queen Vessel Prime, it was an okay card. You only got to use it 4 times. Post Queen Vessel Prime card pack,
Ooh.
sky's the limit. All
I
of a
actually
sudden,
have to
you've got
disagree
rerolls.
with you. I thought he was really good, and it stayed really good because he rerolls against cloakers.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
That is true. Um, I'm just saying before you only got the 4 drone
Yeah,
tokens, but
you
now
did.
now afterwards you get even more uses out of it.
Yeah. And and you're absolutely right. It's um yeah, it's one drone token to choose any number of dice. So it's a target lock
Yep.
without needing a target lock, and you can spend a target lock on a secondary weapon and then still have reroll quality.
Yes.
Lots of good stuff. You could probably tell this tactical drone is higher on my list. If I know the pack he comes from, uh, I very much like him. So, uh, yeah. Uh, this tactical drone is one that's risen on my list. At the start of the game, you get 4 drone tokens for 3 points. Spend 2 drone tokens to target a ship. Range 1 to 2. Discard an evade, scan, or battle station token beside that ship. And you get a scan token. He's expensive, spending 2 drone tokens. So, in theory, you only get 2 uses of him unless you're adding drone tokens. But I like that he's both sabotaging your opponent and helping you. I like that double dip, as it were. Uh, and I think he can be a lot of fun on either Queen Vessel Prime. The more
Yep.
drone tokens if you want more uses out of him, or uh, the scan token one if you want to have the scan token to hurt your opponent a second time by discarding the scan token to get an extra attack die. So I think there's some good here. This is one I was not expecting to have when I was thinking about my list, but as I looked through all the captains, this one popped up for me. I was like, well, I'm going to talk about him. So that's why that tactical drone, and again, I have no idea where he came from, uh, but there he
I,
is.
I think he's from 384. I want to say he's from Cube 384.
Okay, that
Um,
that could be.
yeah, I can't verify because I don't see him in Utopia.
Ah,
Interesting. I'll have to make a note of that for
he was
sure.
there. I know he was there.
Huh? Unless there's a misprint. Hey, either way, neither here nor there. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll note that for later. That's to look for later. Oh, yep, there he is. 384
Okay.
confirmed. All right. So moving on to Captain number 8, we've got another queen coming out, and this queen has got a lot of text, but
Oh, is this the jump queen?
it is the jump queen.
Okay.
And the reason why she made it on my list is for that very reason. You know, if you were going to run an all Borg fleet, this is a queen. There is a better queen, but this queen allows her to jump ships, so she doesn't die until the last Borg ship dies, pretty much. And when she jumps, you get to place another 8 drone tokens on her.
Mm-hmm.
8 drone tokens, 6 points a cost. So you're getting +2 drone tokens for the cost there. Um, Depending on what ship you put her on, it doesn't really matter. She's going to jump once that ship is gone. Um, you can discard one drone token to do free action off the ship's action bar. I don't know. I like the idea. It's very thematic to me. Um, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to put into words why I like her kind of inside of my top 10. Um, but I like her just pretty much for the thematicism of you can't really kill the queen. The queen's everywhere.
Yeah. It makes sense to me. She didn't make my list. She was another one under consideration. Uh, but she is one that has a very Borg mentality because she is very much I'm here, I get to use what I have, and when this ship is no longer useful to me, I will go somewhere else.
Yep.
It works. My number 8 is the Battle Station Tactical Drone, and I'm pretty sure this one's faction. No, this one's card pack.
That's card pack. Yep.
Yep. So 6 drone tokens for 3 points. And if there's an opposing ship in range 1 to 2, you can spend a drone token to get a battle station token. And that's at the start of the combat phase. It's not an action, it's nothing else. This is really good, and absolutely solid. For me, legitimately could have been top 3, top 4 just on ability. The only thing that knocked it down, I just haven't used them a lot, and there's other Borg captains I want to spotlight more because they're more fun, more interesting to me, and this one, while being solid, just isn't as unique or cool.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, absolutely good. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely good.
Yeah. All right. For my number 7, I have got Karak,
Ah,
which is not a card that I really built with too much. But looking at all the captains, it made me sit there and think like, well, this actually isn't too bad of an ability. Um, Granted, when I typically build Borg, I'm building with um, Queen Vessel Prime that's giving you drone tokens. So I kind of looked at it through those lens of how am I going to build these drone tokens and how am I spending them? How am I using them? Um, this is another thing that's starting to get more prevalence in the game today of adding crits or changing hits to crits. And I know it's been a concept in the game for a really long time from cards like Khan, who, you spend a battle station, you turn in all those results to crits. But We're talking like the new edition of Kang, who is going to give you a crit, or really any cards like that that just gave you a crit. Um,
Mhm.
Karak is another one that kind of falls into that line. So I feel like he's an older card. He comes from one of the dual faction
Yeah,
ships.
the assimilated Klingon.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so he didn't really get too much attention to him at the time, but now that kind of play is coming back or getting
A little
getting more
more support.
more attention. Um, he's not one to be slept on too much.
No, in fact, I just recorded my re-review of this, so he's very fresh in my mind. He didn't make my list, but I had a lot of fun talking about him because he very much suits a fun Klingon play style
Yep.
while being Borg, and he brings that Borg element or the Klingon element to the Borg faction, and I like him. He's super thematic,
Yeah.
uh, and that excites me. He brings a different persona, and I wish the Borg had more named personas. I understand why they don't. That's not their shtick, but it would be nice. The Decipher CCG did something really cool. They had some made up of Borg cards. They had like a Ducat of Borg, Wayoon
Oh
of
yeah.
Borg, and I know that Attack Wing is all screen grabs, but it still would have been nice to have something like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. All right. My number 7 is first, and again, fitting to a certain play style. 6 drone tokens, spend a drone token to remove 2 time tokens or a disable token from an upgrade equipped to the ship. I know Bashir, Ezri, they do it better, but you can't have them everywhere. And first is definitely different than other Borg captains. Nobody's removing disables passively or time tokens if you need to speed things up. First is there. You're typically looking at assimilated weapons for this to be the most useful on, but there's plenty of crew that get disabled, and you're getting more uses out of them. There's plenty of cards that are like action disable, and first is getting you better action economy, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned first because my number 6 card is first.
Okay.
So pretty much for all the same reasons. Again, spending 1 drone token to remove 2 time tokens or a disabled token. Looking at the assimilated weapons, I think the one I had in mind was probably biomolecular torpedoes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that one comes with time tokens. But really, you can do it with any torpedo, whether it be Ferengi or Federation or Klingon. Um, Being able to remove the time tokens and the disabled token, I think, is a really good idea for the Borg and something that hadn't been done up
Mm,
to that point.
yeah. Ooh, new Fed torpedoes. That could be
Yeah.
really good.
Yep.
All right. My number 6 is my like personal pet project. This is the counterattack tactical drone. Uh, you get 2 drone tokens for a point. Each time you defend, you can spend a drone to roll an attack die on a hit crit. That damages the attacking ship as normal. And it's not great by any means, but on something on a big ship doesn't. I mean, Queen Vessel Prime obviously the best of it, but again, there's only so many captains you can put on Queen Vessel Prime. Boy, this is just telling me the Borg need an ability, a card that lets them share ship abilities.
Yeah.
That would be really good. We should write that down. But tactical drone, and this ability to counter, I played it a lot as just like this little nuisance captain in several OPs. Because it's like, okay, I don't want skill 1. I want at least skill 2 for a time. And I'm going to just, fine, you want to shoot me? Okay, but 50-50 chance you're going to take a damage. And have that in combination with Matt Decker, with the Amar, Admiral Worf, those types of things, just lots of ways to do bonus damage to my opponent. It's truly a death by thousand cuts fleet. And
Yeah.
I just like this card. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's very different than anything in this game. All like 4,000 cards of it. And that alone means that it's worthy of a spot somewhere here. And 6 too high, yeah, probably, but still really really good.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Thunderchild's ability, just cheaper.
Yeah. Gotta-
All right. So number 5 for me is Operations Drone. And I believe, I don't remember where he comes from.
that's
He,
faction pack.
yep, he's from Resistance is Futile. So, and again, we're talking about the prevalence of Oxes these days. Whereas the first tactical drone that I put out there, oh, we matched.
We did.
The first tactical drone I put out there is removing Ox tokens from you.
Yeah.
However, this operations drone is giving an Ox power token to somebody. So, we're talking you pair this with, I don't know, Verneron Pulse Trap or Ferengi Photon Torpedoes or anything that gives anybody a brunt, even.
Yeah, Brunt, Positron Beam, um, all those types of cards that can hurt, double stack your Ox power. Uh,
Yep,
Ferengi Photon Torpedoes the round before. I think you probably mentioned that.
yep.
I was zoning a little bit. Not because you were boring me in any way, just it's been a day. Um, I've been in meetings all day. Um, but yeah, double Ox is so difficult to overcome, right? It's your opponent goes, oh, great. Even a green's not giving me the action I need to have here.
Yep.
Um, and you get to do that 6 times in theory.
Yeah, and we're living in the online meta that we're seeing through Fremont, where passive actions are a thing.
Uh-huh.
Ox powers puts a stop to that pretty much. So handing out those Ox powers is kind of paramount, and it's a viable strategy in the meta.
It is. For every play, there has to be a counter play.
Yep.
And what counters all those Oxes? Ox removal.
Yep. Exactly.
And
So
what counters it all? Captain killing. Anyway.
So moving on to number 4, since we matched. For me, it's Catherine Janeway. So again, she comes from the Resistance is Futile pack. The reason why she's at this point in my rankings is she's a good captain.
Yep.
She very much matches the Federation, just the straight Federation version of Captain Janeway. Um, kind of, she's looking at opposing ships versus her own ship, um, and there's a range on it, but still, skill 8. Spend 1 drone token to do this. You get the free action plus an Ox. Um, I kind of like it better than the original Janeway, to be completely honest.
I do as well.
Just because you're not getting a duplicate of the action you already performed. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you say you're running the Voyager, the Fed Borg Voyager, and you didn't get the free action that you were hoping to get, and your opponent does the evade or something that you want that you weren't able to get, you can all of a sudden spend a drone token and boom, there's your evade token. Got to pay a penalty of an Ox, but again, that's not such a big deal these days.
No, you put the Ox on the enemy ship.
Oh yeah, you're right. You
Yeah.
you do. you're due besides target ship.
Yeah, that's what makes it better.
That is what makes it better.
Yeah, it's you're limited in what action you get with this, as opposed to Fed Janeway where you get to double up on your choice.
Yeah,
But then you're taking the Ox. See, yeah, Fed Janeway takes the Ox. This Janeway puts the Ox on the opponent. It's yeah. You just have to have an opponent who's actually taking the action within range, and it's the trade off.
yeah. I mean, with the prevalence of free actions and all these tokens that are getting flown around the board these days, I don't. I see that she's got a wide field to be used.
Yeah. My number 4, you mentioned. I alluded that it was definitely on my list, but the reroll tactical drone, and anything that works against cloaking through cloak is going to be on my list. Now that the Borg have ways to get battle stations, whether it's the use of Voyager, whether it's ocular implants, or maybe it's threat analysis. I forget which one actually gives battle stations. But this tactical drone is even better because you can have battle station and reroll quality. Uh, it's just that good, and it yeah, not the best captain skill. I get that. Um, should this operations drone be higher, or not operations tactical drone, the one that gives 6 drone tokens in the battle station? Yeah, probably. But yeah, you know, I'm I've made my bed. I'm laying in it. I'll take that. People in the comments can roast me for it. Um, I am going with my nostalgia pick of this tactical drone.
Sure.
It's seen me through since 2014, 15, whenever it was that the Sphere came out. It's seen me through that long. I'm just holding my ground. I think it was 14. So I've been playing them all the way through. All right, and that brings us to the top 3 already.
Wait, wave 4 for the Borg sphere, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wave 4. I just forgot the year that it came out. I know it's not
Yeah,
13, but I'm pretty sure it was 2014.
yeah. That makes sense. So number 3 for
Oh,
me is, and we got a match. It is the Borg Queen from the Resistance is Futile pack,
yeah,
and again, she placed 9 drone tokens on her. She is a locked skill 9 for 5 points, and you can do any ability of all the captains in your fleet with, and you can spend that requires you to spend a drone token for. So not all captains in your fleet, but all Borg captains, she can definitely copy.
yeah. Um, yeah, set skill numbers is the best change that WizKids made to board captains.
Yeah.
I know it's not universal, right? Janeway came out in the same pack as the Borg Queen, and Janeway does not have a set skill number, and that's fine. Um, but certain ones being set skill numbers helps immensely.
Yes. Yep. And this does not have a range on it.
It is not. It is fleet wide,
Yep. So just
and it's of
another.
all captains.
Yep.
So
All
you
captains in your fleet.
you can burn through that really quickly. 9 drones does not go as far as you might think, but um, even once those drone captains are out of drones, this Borg Queen still works. So, because
Yeah.
it's just copying the abilities.
Yep. She can copy the ability of your reroll tactical drone,
Yep. The
the operations drone, anything that requires you to spend a drone token to do something.
yep.
Janeway, she can copy Janeway.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing her utility. So moving on to number 2, I've got the dreaded tactical drone. This comes
Okay.
from the uh, Queen Vessel Prime card pack. This is, David talked about it earlier. Um, again, when this card pack came out, I was super excited, um, because it came with a Queen Vessel Prime that allowed you to regenerate drone tokens, and it came out with a natural combo with this tactical drone and placing a battle stations
Yeah.
for one drone token. And I ran that combo quite a bit and had a lot of success with it. I didn't really need a target lock, but I could take a target lock, and I would get the battle station. So I don't know. I really liked it. It did well for me. It's typically still one of the combos. If I'm looking at Borg and building Borg, it's still one of the combos that I go to.
Yeah. And it's a very solid tactical drone.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. My number two, and I'm sure you're number one. Sorry to spoil anything. But skill 9 captain for 4 points. Yeah. Uh, oh, further. 9 drone tokens, but you're locked at skill 9. Adding 2 crew slots. And you don't pay faction penalty for those crew slots? Yeah, crazy good. Locutus, just fantastic. The only knock on him, he can only go on a Borg ship. I believe he is one of the very few captains that is faction locked. Him and the Borg Queen are
Yep.
both faction locked, and I think those might be the only two.
Good choice to keep him faction locked too.
Yes, very very much good choice to keep them faction locked. Um, oh my goodness, being able to add 2 crew slots to any other ship that would. Ugh, I don't want to play that game. Um, but yeah, Locutus just phenomenal, uh, phenomenal captain. Uh, I think it's just that he's locked to Borg, and so I resist being forced to play with only one faction when I want to run a captain. If I'm playing Borg, Locutus is definitely my one of my top choices. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess
Again,
this list is about top Borg captains, but I didn't say it was the top captain to go on a Borg ship.
and again, as you alluded to, he is my number one for all the same reasons you said. Um, skill 9, locked at skill 9, 9 drone tokens. There's a lot you can do with that. Um, on top of that, adds true crew slots, no faction penalties. Um, again, when I was supporting 3 people out of my collection, this was the card that was requested to go on to Assimilation Target Prime from the Borg faction pack.
Yeah, yeah.
He just was tailor made to fit there, gave them a lot of room to put other cards on, and run discounted tech and have 2 crew slots and no faction penalties. They were pretty happy with it.
I get that. My number one, I went with Janeway. I I like being able to inflict ox power for on other people. I like being able to say, "Oh, you took that action. Well, I get that action too." Uh, it's kind of the anything you can do, I can do better effect because it's yeah, okay. You took a battle station. I took a battle station and gave you an ox. Uh, Combo it with the right types of things, and they'll a ship will probably never take an action again, and then you
Yep.
need to have another ship to take an action because you want Janeway to continue working. But um, people naturally want to take their actions, so you weave through things the right way. Let them take enough green maneuvers, be predictable, and eventually kill them because they're in the right position to be shot at. Uh, but yeah, it's for me. Janeway works on ships that aren't Borg, and she does that job really, really, really well.
Yeah, I can
Locutus
see that.
Locutus is the best captain to put on a Borg ship, no question. The Borg Queen probably the second best to put on a Borg ship. But if I want a captain who's Borg to put on just about any ship, I'm taking Janeway. That
Yeah,
that's my delineation. and it's probably a cop out, and I will take it. I will live on the technicality right now.
Sure.
So
I won't hold you to it.
okay, it's any of my top three, um, and even my tactical drone, and even that tactical drone that gives me a battle station, I'm happy to run, and even my counterattack, I'm happy to run most of these um, Borg captains. Well, depending on my play style, depending on what kind of fleet I'm going for. But these
Very
all
true. Yep.
fit different types of builds. And who would have
Very-
thought it? The Borg have multiple approaches to play the game.
That's
I'm
true.
shocked. And they have the captains to support it. It's great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I think Resistance is Futile did that faction pack did wonders for the board. I mean, you look at our top three. We've got three. You've got three cards straight out of that faction pack.
yeah,
I got my top four. I've got three of those cards. And to be fair, in my opinion, Janeway was the third best captain that came out of that pack. So I mean that's how my my rankings kind of fell out. But still, very interesting to see. Even older board cards are starting to come back to the forefront because of play styles and things that are coming back to the forefront. Ox removal, Ox addition, um, Karak, who's coming in with crits. First, to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play first.
I don't
He's
think I
got,
have either. But just looking at him, and I went, no, that would work.
yeah, he's got something there that nobody's really doing anything with. But we've got plenty. There's plenty of for him to do.
Yeah, I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's amazing, but you start locking some Borg stuff down, and I think he could. I think he could be a piece.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, 6 drone tokens, so you get to do that ability 6 times. That's 6 turns. I mean, I've played games that are a lot shorter than 6 turns.
yeah, yeah. Same. Or six meaningful turns for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But yeah, it's it's weird. Like after doing this, I struggle to figure out what the Borgs would still need. Like other factions, I can sit here and go, okay, this faction could benefit from another faction pack that does X, Y, and Z.
right.
But the Borg, I'm kind of left going, okay, I might like to see another ship. Another few ships. I've always wanted like the assimilated Enterprise E.
Yeah,
But aside from that, I don't know what I truly want. I
that,
I think I
that
want the assimilator from Enterprise, but I
yeah,
don't truly know how impactful that would be. I
right.
just want to see it. I think it's a cool ship, and I think you could bring in some interesting crew. But
Yeah,
do they need
I
it? Eh.
I think if we're talking in terms of board captains, I think the Borg are set. I think the Borg have got a good array and variety of captains. Um, as you said, maybe they could bring in some more named captains um, if they find a way to figure that out. Because having 600 tactical drones isn't enough.
Yeah. Well, like
Um,
even a navigational drone
there you go. Yeah,
would have been helpful. And I think there's one, the ox removal one that you picked. That
yeah,
easily could have been a navigational drone or an
yeah,
engineering drone is what that
yeah,
should have been. A navigational drone could be something about changing the speed of a maneuver.
yeah. There we go.
Uh, Now, in terms of names, I don't truly know where you go. Uh, Unimatrix
Yeah,
Zero didn't give us that many named crew or named characters. It gave us a few. That's where we got Karak from.
yep,
Um, but
yeah. That one's a hard one, but I do like the idea of like a navigational drone or an engineering drone
yeah, just
because the whole thing about the collective isn't there isn't one drone that runs everything
yeah.
minus the queen. But we got to have some kind of representation in attack wing for the
So
key the point person.
so maybe that's a little room that can be done, but it doesn't need tons,
No,
which is nice as a faction. And I know I'm still on the I think I'm still on the side that would love to see an assimilation card where you can put it on a ship, much like Captured.
yeah,
Um, but I also know it is um, the path is dark and filled with terror.
it's extremely complicated.
Well, okay, the fact that you can put Locutus on it or the Borg Queen, the
Yep.
moment you can do that makes me go, okay, we must tread carefully
Yeah.
because Borg only is sacred ground. It's a restriction that made many things safe,
Right.
and to assimilate things, to give the Borg faction to anything for a cost could blow the game open.
Very true.
Probably more open than we ever would want it.
Yeah, and this might be a little off topic, but we're talking about like what the Borg need to feel Borg, and it probably flows into your next video of upgrades. But
Yeah,
it's that assimilation aspect that I think the Borg overall are missing. But we could talk more about that in another video.
yeah. I think that's a conversation for the end of next week with Borg
Yeah,
upgrades. So join us then. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Jerry, for your time here.
always, always.
And folks, we'll see you next week with our top 10 Borg upgrades. No, not Borg, just Borg upgrades. All right. Until then, keep brushing up your game. Take care.